TV breakfast. On the segment, we are focusing on Ghana's battle against narcotics, which is coming at a critical turning point. With increasing sophistication in drug trafficking networks, the country's role both as an alleged transit hub and a consumption point has come under intense scrutiny. From major airport seizures to crackdowns on illicit pharmaceutical sales, the Narcotics Control Commission, NACOC, is ramping up its efforts not just through enforcement, but also through education, policy reform, and international collaboration. At the table this morning, Mr. Alexander Twum-Barimah, Deputy Director General in charge of Enforcement, Control, and Elimination at NACOC, is here. He will be sharing some insights and some light on the evolving drug landscape in Ghana, especially recent high-profile operations, the Commission's strategic priorities, and how all of us can get involved in curbing the threat of narcotic drugs. Mr. Twum-Barimah, good morning to you. Welcome to GTV Breakfast.
Thank you, Chairman.
We are so happy that you have joined us. I want us to go through some of the recent developments very quickly, and
okay.
we're going to, Valerie will be reading out some of them to us now. The NACOC has been quite busy, and we want to take some quick steps through some of the things that you've been doing. Okay. So Valerie, walk us through what we have on the wall.
Okay, so recent operations and developments of NACOC. April 23, 2025, the agency seized nearly 90 kg of cocaine in transit to the Netherlands, leading to multiple arrests, highlighted as evidence of NACOC's strengthened strategic oversight. March 18, 2025, a major bust at Yarifa arrested a Nigerian national with 192 kg of cocaine and heroin valued at over $2.1 million US. Next slide. Interior Minister Muntaka Mubarak directed NACOC to fully operationalize the SUD Rehabilitation Fund, Section 22 of Act 1019, immediately after 186 new cadets graduated from their training on June 18, 2025. In mid-June 2025, NACOC, in collaboration with the National Intelligence Bureau, destroyed 16,826.91 kg of narcotic drugs at Bundasi military station, highlighting their commitment to transparent enforcement. On July 5, 2025, NACOC intercepted 738 parcels of suspected cannabis at Swissport, destined for the UK. 2 individuals arrested, 2 suspects remain at large. On June 30, 2025, Parliament announced efforts to strengthen NACOC status, potentially positioning it as a more robust security and intelligence agency within Ghana's governance structure. And that's all on the board T.
Okay, thank you so much, Valerie, for giving us those details. So, Mr. Twum-Barimah, it's apparent that there's a lot of work that is going on behind the scenes. I want to get an understanding of what our current state is like when it comes to the details about drug trafficking and even abuse of drugs in Ghana. Where are we and how bad is the situation?
All right, so good morning to our viewers, and let me start from the last part, which is the abuse part. The abuse part, I can say that it looks like it's getting out of hand a bit, because especially with the youth, let me put it in that sense, with the youth, because a lot of the youth are getting themselves involved in the use of, for instance, red and also cannabis. But the sad part is that the things that they are using the cannabis for is a danger. Now they are mixing cannabis with drinks, mixing it with sometimes even some food items. Let me put it in that simple terms. And then the abuse of red, or the tramadol 225, 250, among the 150 and co, is also becoming too rampant. But the good thing is that we haven't rest on our efforts to get them. So every now and then we have several operational activities, and I'm glad you've been able to outline some of them here for our viewers to see the kind of work that we have been doing There's just a handful. There is a tall list of activities yet to come, and those that we have already had. And then the good thing again also is that all the cases that we've had, none of them has been made. Okay, let me look for a good word. Like, we've not thrown away anyone. They are all before the courts, and they are all going through the law. Okay. Yeah. So one thing with NACOC is that once we get you, I mean, the next thing is for the court to tell you that you can go home. But if the court doesn't say so, then you are going to be with us through thick and thin. It's one thing that anytime I say it, I like saying that. I know when you say this, people don't like it, but we are not there to pamper anybody's illicit business. We are not there to encourage anybody's ill business. You doing your business, you have no problem with that. Whatever business we want to do, we don't have any issue with it. But if your business is related with narcotics, you have issues with us. Okay.
Because we'll talk about drug trafficking a bit, but because you mentioned the abuse part and made the point that it's getting out of hand, what has been the most significant challenge to overcoming the hurdle of managing or bringing drug abuse situations? You've mentioned RED and those tramadol-like medications. What has been the biggest challenge to controlling that?
I think the biggest challenge is that, you see, we wish those who know should have done the right thing. When I say those who know, I mean, for instance, licensed chemical shops or chemical store operators, pharmacy, drugstores, pharmacy companies or pharmacy shops or whatever. They are people that you expect to know that, for instance, nobody can purchase a tramadol from you when it's above the 100 milligram threshold. And even with that, the 50 and the 100, which is permissible, you need to have a prescription from a physician or a doctor before you can, procure it or buy it or whatever from any licensed chemical shop or pharmacy. However, we get pharmaceutical companies, we've closed down some. Not long ago, just about 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, we went for an operation within Achimoda and then across to Enclave. And by the time we came back, we had about 7 or 6 pharmaceutical or let's say drugstores that were closed down by us. So all these shops were trading in red. But these are people who are supposed to know the right thing. And do you know one funny thing? Because they know it is wrong, they hide it and don't display it on their counters. The reason why you're not displaying that is because you know it is wrong. So the question is, why are you doing something that you know is wrong?
How did they end up in the country in the first place? Well, and the BBC documentary attempted to follow, that trail, and we know how that turned out.
That part is very interesting. So you see, on this note, let me commend some agencies like the FDA, the Pharmaceutical Council, Ghana Sports Authority, for instance. Yesterday they came to me in my office for us to put our heads together on the way to educate, for instance, the freight forwarders or the shipping agents or whatever name you may call them, on how careful they should be when it comes to transit goods. The funny thing is that you hear that, oh, this item is going on transit. It's going to Niger, it's going to Burkina. We don't have problem with any transit goods going outside this country. But where the good that is going is something that is prohibited. We've seized not less than 80-feet containers. When I say 80 feet, not 80 feet combined, but 140 feet, 20, and 2 other 20 feet, containers were seized. And all these containers were full of red. They were full of red. The reason they will give you is that, oh, it's going to Niger. Who in Niger is importing that thing? And why you don't think we will allow you to use our port as a transit point for illicit goods or activities? No, we won't. So if it is true that some Nigerians have been importing, red or whatever from whichever country through our borders, they should stop.
So that container was seized. Have we found those behind the importation or the transit, whatever it was doing in Ghana? Have we found those?
The very first 2, unfortunately, we couldn't get a witness. But the third one, the agent who is on it has failed to report, and we have declared him wanted.
when you say you can't find the owners, every container has some paperwork that supports it.
Yeah.
So there's some information in there that could perhaps point to who is in charge of, or at least overseeing the shipment or the transit or the transportation of the container. That was not there.
Tell me, I do know something. This supposed or alleged criminals who are into these activities always think that they are very smart. There's a case that we are doing that items were supposed to be shipped to a country. The recipient of those items is someone who resides in Ghana and doesn't even live in that country. But they've used that person's name as the one who is going to receive the items in that country and has given an address. So let's assume that the same thing has happened to any of these containers. You will track the name and the address and you will never locate the person. Just as that country was going to face the same thing. Even though for that very one that I use as an example, the corporates have been arrested. 2 other persons have also been declared wanted as of yesterday. I will mention their names here before the end of the program. They've been declared wanted, and we will get them from every angle that they find themselves. It's in their best interest to report themselves. If they fail to, we will use every legal means to get them.
So those capsules, thousands of them we saw in a vehicle, have been destroyed, incinerated.
Yeah, we've destroyed some too. We've gotten court orders, and we are yet to destroy them.
Okay. Yeah. What does destroying a large consignment of red, for example, look like in a safe manner?
Okay, so basically it's just about taking it out of the system and then just burning them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that safe for those who live around the areas where...
The moment I said that, I can see that people are showing it. Okay. So the good thing is that where we did this exercise, there is no residential accommodation or whatever around that place.
Okay.
It's a total vast land that is just for military activities. Mostly that is where they do the artillery testings and other grenade testings. So in that case, they will not even allow anybody to come close or whatever.
But even those there are not wearing masks. They don't appear to be wearing any protective.
I was there and I was wearing something. Maybe your camera didn't get me.
The rest, the 1 or 2 people that I've seen
we're not wearing anything.
We're not wearing any protective clothing.
So and another thing is that normally we position ourselves towards the opposite direction of the wind.
Okay.
So as you can see, the wind is blowing them
to the other side.
Yes, onto the other side, and then we were in front of it. So we wouldn't get any effect. Yeah.
So when it comes to pharmaceutical drug trafficking, I want to understand, what do our laws say? In other countries, you can't buy more than 2 packets of even paracetamol at a go in a shop. What do our laws say about buying drugs? Are there limits? Are they enforced? And if they are not, is a proposal of that nature in the offing?
Okay, so that is why I first indicated that tramadol is a permissible drug.
Yeah.
But you can only acquire tramadol when it's 50 milligram or at most 100 milligram. But either of this, it needs to be prescribed by a physician or a doctor. Without this, you can't get it. So under no circumstance can anybody think of even having it within his store or her store, a milligram that is above this threshold that I've given, which is 100. So anything 120, 150, even 101 is unlawful.
So what are the penalties for these people who are breaking the law? Yes, the pharmacies you're saying have been closed down. What's the actual, sanction?
The actual sanction
beyond the closure
will be pronounced by the court. That is why anybody that we have arrested.
So it's prosecution?
Of course. They are all put before court. Anybody who has been arrested by us, for a good reason you have been granted bail, your bail doesn't end your case. The next thing for you is that you are getting ready to go to court. If you haven't been to court, it means you've not found a court for you yet. But once you get the court, the next minute you are there.
In this case, at prosecution, how long a sentence are these people facing?
Depends. Those things sometimes comes to the court as a discretion. So, for instance, most cases you see the court giving you, the law giving the court a range to go. So it can say, let's say, not less than 5, not more than 10. So the court can decide to give you 7, to give you 5, that is the minimum, or even give you the maximum, which is 10. So that one, I mean, it's left to the court to make that pronouncement.
Okay. Now, let's talk about cannabis, for example.
Okay.
Recently, Ghana allowed the use of cannabis for medicinal purposes only. And conversations have been had around, well, if we have this thing that grows here anyway, can we have more commercially viable uses for it beyond intercepting and burning?
Okay.
I don't know what kind of conversations are being had.
Ghana hasn't totally permitted the use of cannabis.
But for medicinal.
Okay, so I'm coming there.
Okay.
What we have done is that there is a law which very soon, some portions of it that is pending before Parliament soon, we hope to have it, I mean, done at most in the next month or two. We should be done. What is going to happen is that we are permitting cannabis to be used for medicinal purposes. But even with that, the THC level is 0.03%. So anything above that goes against our law and we will come after you. Again, it is not for recreational purposes.
At all.
At all.
Zero.
Zero. So if you get into anything recreational, you have me to, I mean to tangle with.
So walk through this with me. When you say recreational use, in your earlier submission, you talked about cannabis being used in even food substances.
Yeah.
Does that
yes.
does that amount to recreational
Yes,
use
it is.
of cannabis?
So, for instance, we got reports about cannabis being used with pardon me, but with kebab. So they rub
as
it
a seasoning.
I don't know whether it's for seasoning or whatever. I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
But I mean, there was a report that we had, and we were trying to fish out the very place that the event happened. We have not gotten anywhere yet, but we hope to get it. I think it was some kind of party that some boys were having, and then that was what they were doing there. It's dangerous. Again, that amounts to recreational.
Okay.
And then that unnecessary smoking of it is recreational.
Smoking is recreational. Ingesting it in any form. A tea, is that recreational?
Oh yeah, it is. You see, the thing is that in as long as we are permitting it, we are permitting a particular threshold. Right. And no matter whatever you are using, it's not by that threshold. It's above it. In fact, if you have been to any of the farmlands for cannabis before, there's a small machine that we use in testing the THC level. You can just apply it on the flower of that plant, and immediately it will read to you that the thing is about 30-something% THC. That is nowhere near the one I'm implemented by law. It's far beyond it.
Okay, so if you have weed in a cupcake, a muffin, a toffee of any kind, it's all recreational. I just want us to sit with it because it's part of the education, so that people
they are all
know.
Recreational, yeah.
But a large seizure was made recently at the Kotoka International Airport. So
yeah.
What did it reveal about the system that we run and what needs to be done? Okay,
so on the cannabis part, yes, it's true that we did a seizure. That was last Friday or Saturday, one of them.
July 5?
Yeah. And it was about one gentleman who decided to export it to the UK. And he had concealed it in Fantikinke, concealed it in this local soap, as we call it, Alatasamina. And then also concealed it under, the leaves that they use in preparing wachi. There's some kind of leaves that they use in, mixing it with it. There's some part of it. And they also added some fresh food items such as a plantain, among others, onto it. I think in his mind, he thought he was trying to outsmart the system. And this gentleman is by name Neo Kainja, Lincoln Neo Kainja. He's been declared wanted by NACOC. Persons who were, working with him, or some people who were involved, have been arrested. They've been charged for court, and I think today is Thursday, right? Yeah, today definitely they'll be going to court. He has been declared wanted as at yesterday by the Director General, And serious steps have been taken to get him arrested from all other means that he finds himself. So this is the kind of situation that we find ourselves. And when we deduce it, I mean, when we try to, they were in about 44 or 41 boxes that these items were.
The 738 parcels of cannabis.
Yes. And when we finished with sorting each one out, that's where we got the total number being 700 and something. And it's very sad. Like I said earlier, you have the right to do any business. If your business is into exporting fresh foods,